When you need to create constraints at the virtual intersection of sketch entities that do not physically touch, such as when creating kinematic studies, you can use a virtual intersection to achieve the results you desire. There are two sketches in the browser that relate to different parts of this lesson. The first sketch is named Point on Virtual Intersection and will be the one you begin with. The Point on Virtual Intersection sketch should be visible, and the other one, Line to Curve, should be invisible. To begin, double-click the Point on Virtual Intersection sketch, and then zoom so that your drawing looks similar to the one you see here, with the lines towards the lower left of the window. Now to check your settings. First, on the ribbon, Sketch tab, Constraint panel, select the Constraint Settings button, and the Constraint Settings dialog box opens. On the Inference tab, in the General Group box, make sure that both the Infer Constraints and the Persist Constraints options are selected. Also, in the Selection for Constraint Inference group box, make sure that the Intersection option is selected. Click OK. Now, expand the Constraint panel and choose Constraint Inference Scope. Make sure all geometry is selected, then click OK. On the ribbon, Sketch tab, Create panel, select Point. Begin to position your cursor at about where the virtual intersection of the two lines would be. When your cursor is virtually aligned to one of the lines, you will see a coincident indicator in the left pane of the heads-up display, as well as a solid virtual line extending from the actual line that the virtual line is aligning with. When you get to the virtual intersection, another virtual line will extend from the other line to your cursor as well, and the indicator on the heads-up display will now show a virtual intersection indicator, which is an X with a dot in the middle. Click at this location, and you should see a green ball as you are clicking that indicates that you have made, in this case, two coincident constraints. Right-click and select OK. Select the point you just placed, and you will see confirmation that the two coincident constraints were created, one to each line. To test this, drag the lines around and watch what happens to the point. Drag the point around and watch what happens to the lines. The point remains coincident to both lines at all times. This virtual constraint is not limited to points and lines. Right-click and select Finish Sketch on the Marking menu. Right-click on the Point on Virtual Intersection sketch in the browser and select Visibility from the Context menu to make the sketch invisible. Now, double-click the Line to Curve sketch to activate it. On the Create tab, select the Line command, and then hover over the virtual intersection of the arc. Click and drag, and then click again to create the line. Select the line to show the coincident constraint, and then click the coincident constraint to show the two sides of the constraint. Drag the geometry around a bit to see the results. You can create many more variations of the virtual intersection constraint by changing the settings in the Constraint Inference scope and Constraint Settings dialogues, as well as by using differing geometry. Experiment a bit and see what you come up with.